propagating a default route through RIP. What is a default route first of all? This was discussed last time. The default route especially used for the internet connectivity. If you see this topology here, for the any traffic outside the internet, because on the internet side we don't know Facebook, YouTube, Google, all those things, we don't know the end host destination. So most likely on this router, let's say this is connected to the ISP. So you are connected to the ISP, maybe Virgin or BT. You bought this link actually, and you are sending, you are going to the internet actually. In order to route to the internet, you can configure the default route. Default route means any traffic. Any traffic. So for example, on this router, router 1, they have configured a default route, IP route 000, going to serial 0, and the next hop IP will be this router. So what basically we are saying, we are configuring that, okay, if R1 does not know any route, he will be sending traffic to this guy. Okay, in case most likely where you are having a do not understand any routing information from the other side, you just configure a default route. Default route cover everything which is not in your routing table, because by default router discard the packet which is not in the routing table. Okay, say for example, in our topology we have this topology. In this topology, what I'm going to do is I'm trying to do what? For example, I'm trying to ping 85.75.1.1. You see, the destination host is unreachable. Why? When I trace route this, trace, so what happened? It goes to this router and then it dropped. Now let's go into this router and try to do the show IP route 85.75.1.1. You see, the network is not in the routing table, and that is why when you ping from here, the destination host is unreachable. We are this router, it doesn't know the route back to 85.75.1. That is why it is discarding this route. It is what? Discarding this route. So that's why you can see this destination host is unreachable. And you can see the traffic is black holing, traffic is not going forward. This router is just forward, disabling this now. Now how we can do those things? So now think about it, that this router is connecting to the ISP. Okay, and we are configuring the default route here, okay, to reach to this network. So on the Singapore router, IP route 0.0.0. Okay, IP route 0.0.0, any network, any subnet mask, and I'm saying the next hop IP will be 196.84.55.2. Why is that? The next hop IP, you see the forwarding router address. So IP route 0.0.0.0, any route, anything. If somebody comes to you anyway, anyone today, and he asking you where is 185.75.1.1, just send the traffic to the internet router. So you don't need to worry about anything. You just forward this traffic to internet side, because internet has many destinations. So if you don't know any network behind your LAN, you just rely on the default route as well. So 0.0.0 we have configured. So from the Singapore router 85.75.1.1, I can ping it or not. Let me see. 196. Oh, sorry, this is maybe a little bit wrong. Let me check the IP address. This is 195. Sorry. Yeah, and .2. So basically, this is 2. So default route, I'm removing this. This is 195. Sorry, yeah, this is 195. Okay, 85.75.1.1. Now you can see this router knows about this network. Now let's say I try to ping again. My destination is unreachable. And this router, if I do the show IP route, I cannot see this route as well. That is why my ping is still not working, and my trace route is also not working as well. Okay. Now the router Singapore knows about these network. However, he is not able to give the accurate information to the Paris, London, and London R1 and London R2 router. Now, there are many ways we can do that. For example, we can configure a default route to this side and then the default route to this side. So we need to configure a lot of default route on the Paris, all these three routers. All these three routers, we need to do a lot of mess to point to this network. And the main problem is you are not direct, London router is not directly connected to the Singapore router. This one does connected. So you can send the default route traffic to this network. However, you can see if I needed to do that, I need to do default route here, then default route here, and then default route here. So this is a very messy configuration. In order to avoid this, there is a way you can advertise the default route in the RIP routing table, and then ultimately this router which is connected to the ISP, he will advertise the default route as well to all the three routers. So the command is, that's what they have mentioned here, propagating the default route. So you see, you have the router which has R1 has a default route pointing to the internet side. Just go to the router RIP, say default information originate. That's the command you need to do. So now what it does actually show IP route. So you see that we have configured default route pointing to this side for any network, and that was configured as a static route. Now we are advertising the static route inside the RIP domain, and now all the router 1, 2 in London and also Paris router, they will learn this default route itself. You see now, previously there was no default route. Now we have a default route. Here, now you see, I'm learning two default route now. One is from here and two is from here, second. So one is from this side and two is from this side. And both are you see, equal number of administrative distance, and two mean 2 hop away. So one is going this side and one is going this side. Similarly here, so we can now see what happened. Rather than I'm going to each London router, to London router and Paris router and configure the default route pointing to Singapore side, I just add one static route first of all. I configure this static route and then advertise this static route into the RIP domain. I went into the router RIP and I said default originate command. So the benefit is all of my router now learn the default route. So you can see right now, previously the traffic was destination unreachable, but now the traffic request is timed out. Now let's do the trace route and see what's happening. Now you need to guide me what is the problem here. Why I still not able to reach that? Okay. So tell me where we are stopping. 202.2.2, which is 202.2.2. So you see here, I am reaching up to here, and my request is timeout. So traffic is going this way as well and this way as well, from this to this switch. Okay. So what is happening? Anybody can spot the problem here? So basically we are sending the traffic to here, and finally you can see the last hop here, 2022.2. It's dropping somewhere here. There is a problem either on this router or on this router. So think about it. Routing point of view, this is what we discuss. What is the source address? When you send a traffic from this machine, 192.168.10.1, this will be the source address. It reaching to 87, 85, 75, 1.1, like this network. Now why it is not working. So you see this show IP route. You see the gateway of the last resort is set, which means now, because if any traffic is not matching to us, previously when there was no default route, we now learn the default route through the RIP. You see this? We learn this from the RIP, from here, because that was this router. The problem is here that this router has no idea about 192.168.10. network. Show IP route. So you see, do you have 192.168.10.1 network? It does not have that. Okay, and that is why the problem is. So there are many ways you can do that. So what you can do here today, you can configure a static route 192.168.10.0 subnet mask, and next hop will be 195.84.55.1. So now if I do go back, now you see its ping is working, and when you see the trace route, it is working as well. Now you see it is reaching to the final destination, because now this router, it knows about this network, it knows the source actually. So when you troubleshooting a routing protocol problem or routing problem, always think this is the source and this is the destination. But this is true for the when the traffic is leave the network and reaching here. How about the traffic is coming back? Then the traffic is coming back to this side. That will be the source and that will be the destination. So effectively, this router must need to know about 192.168 network as well. Otherwise, it is dropping the traffic. Okay. So now we configure a static route that, okay, because this router knows about 192 network, right? You see, it already learned this network. If Singapore router, we are saying, okay, if you want to go to 192.168.10 network, just send the traffic to Singapore router. And he knows about this network. Clear? So we're doing two things. Number one, we configure one static default route and advertise into the RIP domain. So all the RIP OSP RIP speaking router learn the default route. Okay. We simply achieve with one step. We advertise a static route here. So we add the static route here. And then we went into the routing route RIP actually, and we advertise the default originator subnet command. That ensure that all the routering in our domain, they learn the default route itself through RIP. Otherwise, you need to do a manual static route configuration on router London router, Paris router, and London 2 router, which is a very messy configuration. But you can achieve this by doing the default originate command in the routing protocol. Clear?